All right. Happy COVID Saturday. Papa Bear Gaming here. I wanted to play a little BlackThorn Arena. Is this early access beta build game by a nice small studio out there in I think they're in Germany or somewhere. Anyway, so let's look at this game. Before we jump right into it, I just wanted to show one of the real cool features of the game is to build archetypes right from the very beginning, right? This is it's probably a little, if you're the first time playing this game, this won't really matter to you, but later it's kind of important, and it shows you some of the work that's gone into this by these folks. You get to mess with some races, some early starting gear. You have all these sliders that you could adjust, and of course you could do it manually, or you could just hit the random button like I do. Then of course you have the first and most important part of your champion, the attributes. You got your typical attributes, right? Pretty straightforward. Strength is how much extra damage you do, and endurance is how much you could take, hit points, weight you could carry, and that sort of stuff. Then you have your skills, right? These are the tops or the primary 6 skills that you could currently use. But then you have this genre here. It's basically extra skill sets that you could build on top of the normal stuff. So you could mix and match these skills. So what this means is, instead of just building every one-handed character a certain way, you can mix them with one-handed skills along with all of these lines here. So it's pretty unique and it's pretty cool. Now for the first and probably the most annoying part of this entire game is the randomness of everything in this game. So the loot you get is random. The characters you build are random to an extent. The difficulty of the matches are random. The matches that are available to you are random. Your starting characters and skills and stats are random. So there's a lot of random. So I'll show you now how you would adjust this, right? So you hit this roll button, and you notice, that's the change in that. But if you hit this roll button here, it changes the skills you have as well as the stats. But as you see, there's no logic to the change. So for example, I have a shield wielding guy with only a skill in shield, not in anything else, not in you can't run around with shields and kill people. I guess you could try, but you need a shield and a one hand to really make use of your shield. Then I have a lot of intelligence, so I could reuse skills really often or quickly, but my shield skills are more for defense, not for attacking. But this one actually isn't that bad, as it comes with a lot of strength as well as intelligence. But now we got ranged with a lot of strength, while strength is necessary for people that are gonna go close combat. While, if I want to have a range skill, what I really need is perception as well. That needs to be higher. So you can see it gets difficult to actually get a good starting character or two. But let's just pretend and let's skip back out. So I have a couple little setups here. Like this guy here, he's my two-hander. This guy is gonna be my archer. Here's my dual wielder. Let's see if he'll show you the stats on him. So for dual wielding, I had to roll a couple times to get dual wielding. Lots of strength, a little agility so they could attack faster and move faster, and then cooldown reduction. Alright, so let's jump into the game so some of this would make a little more sense. And we'll listen to the nice little story they have in a second. Alright, so since I already got a game going and I don't want to break that, we'll go with Papa BZ. No, I don't recommend Iron Man mode, and neither does the developer at this stage. But I do like just letting the computer fight it out, because I don't like the animation of the fights. It's kind of slow and annoying. You can get an advantage by fighting yourself instead of letting the computer do it, because you are able to trick the computer. and you are able to select, two of your archetypes right off the beginning and build your first two random characters off of them, which can be nice, but you'll see why that's kind of annoying. And then of course you could, make your guy look however you want, guy or girl. Well, let's just jump into it.
300 years ago, the ancient Tali Empire fell apart in an unprecedented disaster called the Great Decadence. Its land was divided into several kingdoms, and its many slaves and gladiators were either liberated or exiled. Those grandiose arenas of which the Talian people were once so proud are now all but abandoned or destroyed. Only a small part of this ancient recreation survived, lingering in a brutal land full of chaos and disorder called the Freelands. In the depths of the underground, among its abandoned ruins, 10 arenas remain and persevere in this gory sport. For many generations, your family has presided over the oldest of these, the BlackThorn Arena. While under your grandfather's rule, the arena's fame reached its zenith, as did your family's wealth. Then, it fell under the care of your father. He proved to be unfit, and the BlackThorn Arena's reputation and popularity declined irreversibly. To save the crumbling family business, your father did something shameful, dishonest, and unacceptable to his peers, which is using the forbidden art of magic in the games. His trick was discovered, and he was killed by assassins from other arenas. After your father's death, an enemy took over the BlackThorn Arena, driving you and your mother out of your home. 10 years later, you've returned under the guise of a nameless merchant. The only possession you have is a bag of coins. The past 10 years have seen you sacrifice everything you've earned to restore your family's arena. Upon your return, an aged loyal servant of your family recognized you. He swears to help you reclaim your family's glory. 2 days later, under his arrangement, you enrolled in a small match in a nameless arena with only 2 untrained gladiators. And this is where your road to restoration begins.
So just like Papa Bear Gaming, my daughter's here with me. She wanted to come see what Daddy was doing, and she's gonna hang out while we do this little intro. So forgive me in advance for any baby talk in the background. So now, like, back to what I was saying about the randomness. If you look at the 2 characters I have, right, Macy and Carr, the levels and what those characters are, all of that is completely random at the very start. So sometimes on a really good run, I got a level 8 and a level 6 character out the gate. They still somehow lost to a bunch of level 1s, but that's another story. And you see, I'm dealing with 2 one-hand users. Let's see what I end up with. A bow user and a one-hand user. And I get to wish all those skills that they have completely random. Now, whether or not I win the opening match, that's irrelevant, because for the most part my guys should survive. I'm only maybe 30 hours of play, only one time both my guys died or one of them died, and I just start the game completely behind the power curve. Somehow the bull user Macy has the other guy running away from his life. And that's the randomness of the game, right? Sometimes they get some skills that are just OP. And other times not. Like one time I started this game with max level skill, a flaming arrow skill. That was amazing. My character character never hit a shot and he died anyway, but alright, and then you get to let people live or die at the end of matches, and it actually affects like your standing depending on how the match goes. The audience likes it or doesn't like it. They actually didn't like what I did and they would have rather I kill these guys, but you know, whatever. I don't like to murder people for no particular reason. But once you get started here, then you're playing a little mini game of leveling up your characters. So I'm gonna skip through this part real quick just to get to the meat of it. If you decide to give this a try, you could check out the little story they got building here. But the first part of the story, the primary goal of the story is to raise my reputation or my favor and get to present games and have a bunch of gladiators in my team. So events come up on this here on your calendar. You have to manage your money and you have to manage the amount of guards controlling the your gladiators / slaves. Alright, there's a couple key things to list here. You got your list of your folks, right? And all of their items and their weapons and their level ups and all the typical stats you see in a role-playing game. And as they level up, they get points to put towards skills. As you see, this guy here was given these random selection of skills that made him, you know, good enough to stay alive. But then along with all of these weapon related skills, you do have the genre related skills, right? So this is where you really can make your unique characters. So if I wanted to make a one-handed gladiator, you know, you could make a one-handed commander. Commanders help you guys stay focused and keep from running away when things aren't going well. Duelists, you know, they have the typical stuff you expect to see. Like my favorite is usually two-hand wielding berserker. They put out a poop ton of damage, right? And then you have tactics, so you are able to change how your guy will fight when they're doing their computer battles. And there's even the option to actually create your own tactics based on events happening. So there's a lot of detail going into how your guys fight and how they behave when different things are going on. Along with this, there's a leaderboard, so once you really get chugging in the game, you could end up on the leaderboard depending on how you perform. And then there's arenas. So this is also where the total randomness of it all comes, right? So in the arenas, because you're kind of a forbidden guy, there's a couple arenas that you can't even participate in. Then there's others that you can. But here's more randomness. You see this team level? This is the level of the people involved. So you could go into a match thinking, hey, it's level 3, so you could have 2 level 3s, but they have a 5 and a 1. You don't know, and you don't know what skills these people are going to come with, which makes it difficult. And all you're going to get for that is 18 silver. You could lose some people, you could get hurt, you know, you have to manage a lot of different things. Oh, like this one here. 2 level 1s, but a level 7. You send a team against them, your team might not even make it out alive. Then there's also challenging arenas, right? But in the beginning, that's kind of just looking for death. You don't want to challenge anything unless you have until much later in the game when you have much better champions, levels wise and gear wise. And then you got your inventory, you got messages, right? And then goals is basically brief, your missions or whatever. So along with that, you could also run your own games. So you could run a game, have your own contestants. You get these sponsors who give you extra special items. You have to work on your attraction to get more and more people to come in. And then you pick how many days it will take for people to decide to join your game. Another cool feature is later on, you're able to like visit the other various arenas all over the map and challenge them, or you know, just do your various events. And then down here you have the marketplaces. So you could either, a new feature that they recently introduced is the ability to send someone to actually buy stuff for you or directly go into an event. The the benefit of going to the event is that you don't waste money, but it costs you a day. So you have to decide is what's your time worth. Oh, baby girl, you ready to go take a nap, aren't you? Yep, I could tell. So a couple things here to note. You got the training ground, so you could send your guys here to train. This is where you could teach them specific the genre related stuff. Then you could also train people in skills. So this guy's good at training people, and the more people he trains and more days he spends training is the more skills he gets. They also get a little bit of experience for training. The main hall is where everyone eats. You could have feasts, you could research different diets and meals for them to eat, and therefore learn different things. So with these, once you research these things, you can apply it to your guys to get benefits. Treatment hall, it's pretty straightforward. If you guys get hurt, they gotta come to the treatment hall. You need a physician, someone to be a physician to treat them for like serious injuries. And the torture center, this is the fun part of this game especially, is as your guys are either disobedient or their morale drops, or some people just don't want to listen to you, you have to send them to the torture center and torture them into doing what you want. The Smith. This one's a tricky one, right? You can craft items in the game, right? So you could craft weapons and armor, just like with the treatment hall. You can craft medicines and alcohol, just like how you can make food with this one. They all take time, but once you do actually craft an item, now you have to go out there and fight to get the components to make said item. So just as an intro to this game, later I'm going to play a game and we're going to do a little bit of reloading to see if we can get a game really going. But it takes a little bit of effort, it takes a lot of luck and time to really get things going. And another thing I want to show you that's incredibly random as well is the inventory of the various vendors. So there are 3 vendors. They each sell slaves, weapons, armor, and jewelry. And the randomness behind these are amazing. Like of level 1, I've seen some, legendary items, incredibly expensive legendary items available. Things that I can't even get my guys to wear or use, but they're there. If I wanted to buy some people, you could go look over your slaves, see what their stats are, see who you want to buy. You could look at the various weapons, right? The various armors. And then along with the armors, you have sets. So if you can get your guy loaded up with a good set of stuff, you could really get their stats up and running. Then you have capes and belts and jewelry. So there's a real good collection of like items and things you could, adjust. So you could load up your guy, check their stats and make sure they're ready for combat. And then you basically send them off to combat. Every day there's new events in the various arenas. So that's why a day passing really matters, and you want to really not waste your days, because yesterday I had 3 available things, right? But you see today these ones have started, so really all I have now is these 2. This one would be an ideal one because it's level 1 guys against level 1 guys, so you just send your folks off to this. And you know what, let's just this wouldn't go anywhere because my guys wouldn't have a chance of succeeding. But you see this win rate percentage over there in the top left. Depending on your team's composition, the win rate goes up or down. And this is how you'd have to win a couple of these to really build up your team. And then you see the reward. one last hint before I wrap up this kind of introduction to BlackThorn. We'll do another game later once my daughter actually goes to sleep. She's on my hand here telling me to be quiet so she can go to bed. Venerations. These are basically fighting an animal. These are death matches, really. Anytime you send your folks to this, there is nothing other than victory. If they lose, they die. In some of the exhibitions and the tag fights, they can die, but the odds are, even when they lose, they won't die. They'll just take a beating. Anyway, this is BlackThorn Arena. We're gonna play another game a little later once my daughter's asleep. Thanks for hanging out. This was Papa Bear Gaming.